Okay guys, I'm trying something a little bit different here, so hopefully this all works out. Instead of just doing a voice over PowerPoint, I'm gonna do audio visual over PowerPoint. Fingers crossed. This is a super long chapter, so hopefully it works as we make our way through it. I should probably test it before I just kind of barrel through the chapter, but that's okay. We'll make it work. So chapter 16, super important chapter because this is what your final project is focused on. I apologize if you hear barking in the background. I have dogs. They're super cute. If one comes close enough, I'll pick it up and you guys can see it. But anyways, chapter 16, store layout, design, visual merchandising. So recognizing the really significant impact of store environment on shopping behavior means that retailers have devoted a considerable amount of resources to their store design and their merchandise presentation. So there are several store design objectives. The first is to implement the retailer strategy. The second is to build on loyalty by providing a rewarding shopping experience. The third is to increase sales on a visit. And the fourth is to control costs. And the fifth is to meet legal requirements. The primary objective for store design is to implement the retailer strategy. The design needs to be consistent with the retailer's mission statement and needs to reinforce the strategy by meeting the needs of the target market and building a sustainable competitive advantage. When customers consistently have good, really rewarding experiences when patronizing a retailer store or their website, they are motivated to visit repeatedly and develop loyalty toward that retailer. Store design provides utilitarian benefits when it enables customers to locate and purchase products in an efficient and timely manner with minimum hassle. Store design provides hedonic benefits by offering customers an entertaining and enjoyable shopping experience. So the same way that we have utilitarian and hedonic products, we also have utilitarian and hedonic benefits. A third design objective is to increase the sales that are made to the customer on any particular visit. Store design has a really substantial impact on which products customers buy, how long they stay in the store, and how much they spend during a visit. So retailers attempt to design their stores in a manner that motivates unplanned purchases. So if you guys have ever noticed, if you go to the store to buy milk, you usually have to walk all the way to the back of the store. That means by default, you are staying in the store for longer than you would if the milk was right next to the door. So basically, stores really tend to place utilitarian products that you need and that you come into the store to buy toward the back of the store so that you have to walk past all of the other products in order to get there. Another design objective is to control the cost of implementing the store design and maintaining the store's appearance. Store designs can actually affect labor costs and inventory shrinkage. So store designers attempt to design stores with maximum flexibility. As the merchandise mix changes, so must the space allocated to the merchandise categories and the layout of the store. Another critical objective in store design or any redesign decision is to be in compliance with the 1990 Americans with Disabilities Act. Besides providing for a non-discriminatory work environment for the disabled, the ADA calls for reasonable access to the merchandise and services in a retail store that was built before 1993. Stores built after 1993 must be fully accessible. Accessibility answers are not clear or easy, but they're being considered on a case-by-case basis in federal courts around the United States. So as you guys can imagine, a store design rarely achieves all of the design objectives that are described above. Managers need to make trade-offs among them, and one common trade-off is between stimulating impulse purchases and making it easy for customers to buy products. Another trade-off occurs between making the shopping environment interesting and easy for customers to find merchandise, or making the shopping environment entertaining. One more trade-off is the balance between giving customers adequate space in which to shop and productively using this space for merchandise. So Cabela's is an example of a store that provides its customers with hedonic benefits. So they offer these like museum-like dioramas of wildlife displays when you're walking through the store. I think Bass Pro Shops is another Farm retailer that does that. Like if you want to buy a kayak, sometimes when they have a kayak sale, they actually have like a pool that you can put the kayak in to test it out. So those aren't really necessary benefits, but they're things that kind of keep people coming back and build customer loyalty and also create a competitive advantage. So the Americans with Disabilities Act requires that retailers provide reasonable access to merchandise and services. So if a customer is in a wheelchair or has a service animal like the picture is showing, you need to make sure that that customer has enough room to maneuver within the store and that they do have the ability to get to some of the products that are higher up or lower down on shelves, whether that means somebody's present to be able to help them or they can reach what they need. They have to have the same access to all of the products in the store as anybody else. So there are 4 elements in the design of stores. The first element is layout. The second is the signage and the graphics. The third is feature areas, and the fourth is store exteriors. Each of these elements is going to be discussed in a little bit more detail in the rest of the slides. First and foremost, we have the layout of the store. Today's modern retailers usually use one of 3 general types of store layouts: a grid layout, a racetrack layout, or a freeform layout. Each of these layouts, as you can imagine, has its advantages and disadvantages. A grid layout is best illustrated by grocery and drug stores. It contains parallel aisles with merchandise on shelves that run down both sides of the aisles. Cash registers are located toward the front of the store and near the entrance or the exits. And the grid layout is really best suited for customers who are primarily interested in utilitarian benefits. So they're good for customers who want to get in, get out. They need to find what they need and find it quickly. The grid is not the most aesthetically pleasing arrangement, but it's really good for shopping trips in which the customers need to move through the entire store and easily locate the products that they want to buy. The grid layout is also pretty cost efficient because space productivity is enhanced and the fixtures are standardized. So the shelves never move, and since the shelves are so tall, you're getting a lot of real estate per square foot. But one of the problems with the grid layout is that customers typically aren't exposed to a lot of the merchandise in the center of the store. So this limits the number of unplanned purchases that customers partake in. The center of the store refers to the middle of each aisle, where most grocers and other retailers using a grid layout stock the less compelling products and the less exciting products. Though they might be products that a customer might desire. So you'll find, like, typically in the center of the aisles or in the center store, you'll have like toilet paper, things that are not super exciting and like facilitating or fueling people to make impulse purchases. So this is just a graphical representation of a grid store layout. And this is just showing how a typical traffic pattern goes in a grid store layout. So as you can imagine, in the center of the store, you really don't have a whole lot of traffic. So the racetrack layout is also known as a loop layout, and this is a type of store design that provides a major aisle to facilitate customer traffic with access to the store's multiple entrances. This aisle loops through the store and provides access to all departments. The racetrack design really encourages impulse purchasing. So this is a graphical representation of a racetrack layout, and the typical types of stores that use this type of layout are department stores. So if you think about like going to a mall and you think about Macy's or Belk, you have multiple entrances and there's pretty much like one main aisle. And then there are smaller aisles that lead off to the different departments within the store. Along those smaller aisles and the main aisles are usually some fixtures that have smaller items on them. And those items are what the retailer is hoping you'll buy impulsively. A freeform layout or a boutique layout arranges fixtures and aisles asymmetrically. It's successfully used primarily in specialty stores or within departments of larger stores. It's a really relaxed environment and customers feel like they're in somebody's home, which really facilitates shopping and browsing and kind of slows down the pace of the experience. There's really no well-defined traffic pattern, so customers aren't naturally drawn around the store or drawn to different departments or areas of the store. So sales, personal selling becomes really important in order to encourage customers to explore different parts of the store. In addition, the layout reduces the amount of merchandise that can be displayed. So that's a disadvantage to a freeform layout. So this is a graphical example of a freeform layout. You have usually like a stationary checkout counter, but the feature tables and the tables and other racks are usually rolling racks, and they can kind of be moved around however you want them to be. So where signage and graphics are concerned, signage and graphics inside the store help customers locate products and departments. They provide product information and suggest items or special purchases that a customer may want to consider. Graphics like photo panels can also reinforce a store's image. Some different types of signs are call to action signs, category signs, and promotional or point of purchase signs. A lot of retailers nowadays are beginning to replace their typical traditional signage with digital signage. Digital signage is signs whose visual content is delivered electronically. They're really managed pretty centrally, and they're distributed to servers in the stores and then displayed on flat panel TV screens. The content that's delivered can range from entertaining video clips to simple price displays. Digital signage provides a number of benefits over traditional signage for the retailer. Digital signs are dynamic, so you can change the content quickly. They provide a more appealing atmosphere, and they can be tailored to the store's market. And they also overcome the time to message hurdle that is associated with traditional print signage. So sometimes the time that it takes to actually get a sign printed is too long, based on how quickly you need to get the message to your customer. So digital signs provide an answer to that issue. Feature areas are areas within a store that are designed to get the customer's attention. They sometimes include freestanding displays, mannequins, end caps, promotional aisles or areas, walls, dressing rooms, cash wraps, things like that. So freestanding displays are fixtures that are located on aisles and designed primarily to attract customers' attention and bring them into a department. These fixtures often display the store's newest, most exciting merchandise in a particular department. A mannequin is a life-size representation of a human body most of the time, and it's used for displaying apparel. End caps are displays located at the end of an aisle, and they're used in stores primarily with a grid layout. They have really high visibility, so they're also used a lot of the time to feature special promotional items like maybe beer and potato chips before the 4th of July. A promotional aisle or a promotional area is a space that's being used to display merchandise that's being currently promoted. And because retail space is often really limited, a lot of retailers will increase their ability to store extra stock, display merchandise, and creatively present a message by utilizing wall space. So wall space is definitely really valuable real estate that you don't want to forget about as a retailer. Dressing rooms. A lot of times we don't think about dressing rooms as being a place where where you might want to sell something. But the fact of the matter is, dressing rooms are extremely important because that's where the customer typically makes the decision to buy something. So dressing rooms need to be large, they need to be clean, comfortable, and they need to make a person feel good and kind of get into the mood to buy something. Many dressing rooms today are equipped with technology that enhances the buying experience. A lot of times shoppers can check in-stock items and view accessory options in a dressing room, and virtual dressing rooms are becoming more important. People can't try on clothes that are displayed on a website, but webcams nowadays can allow us to do what I'm doing with you guys right now with this lecture. And also, it can also allow people to try on things in a virtual dressing room. So you can try on eyeglasses, you can try on makeup. So technology is kind of adding to the whole store layout, this whole store layout topic in a really unique way. Cash wraps are also known as point of sale or point of purchase counters or checkout areas. So if you're in a checkout line, the cash wrap are the stuff is the stuff that's sitting on the shelves next to the checkout. It's the gum, it's the, I don't know, random keychains that are shaped like penguins. It's the breath mints, it's the batteries, the stuff that people are just standing around staring at before they make a purchase. So this is super valuable real estate because all people are doing are they're standing there and they're waiting. If they have somebody behind them, they can't go backwards. If they have somebody in front of them, they can't go forward. All they can do is stare around at the different things that they can possibly buy. So definitely pretty prime real estate when it comes to impulse purchasing. So this is just a graphical representation of a mannequin, not your traditional mannequin, but the Disney store is a store that is huge on providing an entertaining shopping experience, and mannequins like this are good for both entertainment and function. So you'll notice that this mannequin is actually storing apparel. So there's little princess gowns and stuff, shoes and crowns and everything hanging off the side of the mannequin, but there's also a mirror inside. So the little girls can go inside, hold their dresses up, see what it looks like in the mirror. So definitely an entertaining experience when you're shopping in the Disney store. So this is an example of an end cap. You can have an end cap that ends in a dump bin, which is the right-hand picture. Those types of end caps actually encourage more purchases than an organized bin to the left. The dump bin encourages a lot of purchases because people can take items away and not have to worry about ruining the organization of something. They can just take from the dump bin and preserve the organization up top. So it's kind of a fun fact. So the store exterior is actually pretty important when it comes to design elements. The exterior includes not just the physical store, but also the signage, the parking, and the landscaping. So stores with different locations actually have different opportunities and limitations on how they can use their exterior. Window displays draw customers into a store and provide a visual message about the type of merchandise that the store is selling and the type of image that the store wants to portray. But effective window displays aren't really easy to achieve. It actually takes time and a good bit of creativity to coordinate a window display that's appealing to people walking by a store. The entryway is also really critical because it determines whether or not the customer believes they can or should enter the store. The decompression zone is an area that's comprised of the first 10 feet or so within the space when a customer enters the store. So the 10 feet into the store, typically there is nothing there. If you're a retailer, you don't want to put anything in that decompression zone. It allows the customers to take some time to escape from the street or the noisy mall, take off their sunglasses, close their umbrellas, and develop a visual impression of the store. The signs that appear on the exterior are the primary means for the shoppers to find the retail location. So obviously you want them to be clear and clean. And regardless of design and image, most stores have to address the practical issue of parking. There has to be easy access from parking locations, and there needs to be sufficient parking to accommodate customers. And then, like so many other retail decisions, whether, how much, and what kind of landscaping a retailer should seek depends on the type of store, its image, and what type of location it has. Stores that are located within regional malls, power centers, or strip centers have very little control over the external landscaping. Smaller stores that are kind of like stores that are on the square in Cookeville, they have a lot more leeway over a little bit of their landscaping. So UK based Jigsaw is a store that carries its window treatments from the exterior, like from the doorway of the store all the way into the store. So they actually have a funnel that's made from thin pieces of wood that surrounds the windows and opens up into the store. And you'll notice if you look in that right hand picture, as the funnel opens up into the store, it actually becomes part of the display space. So they're actually starting to put items on shelves on that on those little pieces of wood. Louis Vuitton's asymmetrical Crystal Pavilion store in Singapore is consonant with the high fashion merchandise that's inside. So sometimes it's really the exterior of the store that makes you want to enter. So retailers consider 3 factors when deciding how much floor or shelf space they can allocate or they want to allocate to the merchandise categories and brands. First, they think about the productivity of the allocated space. They think about the merchandise's inventory turnover, and they think about the display needs for the merchandise. Where space productivity is concerned, a simple rule of thumb for allocating space is to allocate on the basis of merchandise sales. In practice, retailers should allocate space to a merchandise category based on its effect on the profitability of the entire store. So a couple methods that you can use for this is sales per square foot or sales per linear foot. A more appropriate productivity measure, such as gross margin per square foot, would consider the contribution generated by the merchandise and not just the sales. Inventory turnover affects space allocation in a couple of ways as well. First, both inventory turnover and gross margin contribute to the GM ROI. Merchandise categories with higher inventory turnover merit more space than merchandise categories with lower inventory turnover. Second, the merchandise displayed on the shelf is depleted quicker for items with high inventory turnover, so more space needs to be allocated to this fast-selling merchandise. The physical limitations of the store and its fixtures also impact space. My mom's Facebook got hacked, so we had to have a conversation about how to remedy that situation before it got too out of control. So we talked a little bit about, we talked about space that's allocated to merchandise. So now we're going to get into the location of different merchandise categories. This also plays a role in how customers navigate the store by strategically placing impulse and demand or destination merchandise throughout the store. Retailers can increase the chances that customers will shop the entire store and that their attention will be focused on the merchandise that the retailer is most interested in selling. The retailer's entry area is often referred to as the decompression zone, again, because the customers are making an adjustment to the new environment. After they get past the decompression zone, customers often turn right into an area that's known as the strike zone. Now, this is in the United States, so if you guys have ever noticed when you walk into a store, typically you turn right. You might think that's because the store pushes you that way, which may be the case. You know, maybe the checkout counters are on the left and you turn right. But the fact of the matter is, we tend to turn right. And that is probably because we drive on the right-hand side of the road, and making a right-hand turn is a lot easier than making a left-hand turn. If you went to a store outside of the United States, maybe in a place where they drive on the opposite side of the road, there may not be a strike zone to the right. So just things to think about when you're in different countries. So the strike zone is a really critical area because it creates the customer's first impression of the retailer. From that point in the store, the most heavily trafficked and viewed area is the right-hand side of the store. So you'll notice when people walk around the store, they're usually shopping the right-hand side. Impulse merchandise includes products that customers purchase without prior plans, like maybe fragrances, cosmetics, magazines. They're almost always located near the front of the store where they can be seen by everybody and where they may actually draw people into the store. The prime store locations for selling merchandise are heavily trafficked areas such as 10 feet beyond the entrance, again, past that decompression zone, and then on the right side of the store and near the escalators and cash wraps. Remember, cash wraps are those aisles next to the checkout counter. So demand merchandise and promotional merchandise are often placed in the back left-hand corner of the store. By placing high demand merchandise in this location, customers are pulled all the way through the store. So they walk in the door, they turn to the right, and then they go all the way around the store, all the way to the back left. So it's pretty much the furthest point from the store, and they have to look at all of those other products on their way back there. Some merchandise categories, like expensive, really fragile items, or really personal items, involve a buying process that's best accomplished in a lightly trafficked area. So categories like furniture and appliances that require a lot of floor space are often located in less desirable areas. So when you think about that store center that we talked about, that's not really visited a whole lot when people are following a grid pattern of traffic, that's where you might see like furnitures and appliances, because people don't typically like walk past a washing machine and say like, oh, I think I'll impulse buy that. So that's why it's placed in a less trafficked, less desirable area of the store. Grocery stores a lot of times place produce after customers pass through the decompression and strike zones because it's really visually appealing. So it gets a shopper's attention, it gets their mouth watering, and the best grocery store customer is a hungry one. I can tell you that from experience. So retailers often also put complementary categories of merchandise next to one another to encourage unplanned purchases. Another option is to contradict traditional placement schemes to surprise and excite customers. Most purchases in food, discount, drug, and other category specialists are either based on limited problem solving or habitual decision making. So people know what they buy it regularly, they don't have to think about it. So retailers use a variety of rules to locate specific SKUs within a category. Some tools that retailers use to make decisions on the positioning of items are planograms, virtual store software, videotapes of consumers, and spatial recognition systems as consumers are moving throughout the store. A planogram is a diagram that shows how and where specific SKUs should be placed on retail shelves or displays to increase customers' purchases. The locations can be illustrated using photographs, computer output, or artist renderings. Planograms are also useful for merchandise that doesn't fit nicely on shelves in supermarkets or in discount stores. A virtual store simulation is another tool that's used to determine the effects of placing merchandise in different areas of a store and evaluating the profit potential for new items. These virtual shopping trips allow retailers and their suppliers to develop a better understanding of how customers will respond to different planograms. Retailers are also utilizing consulting firms to videotape consumers as they're moving through the store. The videos then can be used to improve layouts and planograms by identifying the causes of slow-selling merchandise like poor shelf placement. The videos allow retailers to learn where customers pause or move quickly, and this information can help retailers decide whether the current layout is working or needing revision. So grocery stores are experimenting with their produce departments in unconventional product placements. So this is just kind of a graphical representation of what a planogram might look like. So a heat map is another really useful way to look at where what types of purchasing customers are doing. So the Microsoft Kinect sensors can actually show shopper interactions, showing where customers are reaching or purchasing products from. So the red represents the hot zones where customers touch the most. The yellow is a little bit less than that, and the blue is a place where they're not shopping at all. So a key space management decision is deciding how big a store should be. With the rise of online shopping, the scarcity of prime retail real estate in some markets, especially urban locations, and the associated high rental costs, retailers are coming to find that bigger is not always better. But there are also negative effects of smaller stores, and most of these focus on the customer. Customers face reduced selection, decreased comfort, and little entertainment when they're shopping in smaller stores. Visual merchandising is the presentation of a store and its merchandise in ways that will attract the attention of potential customers. The primary purpose of fixtures in visual merchandising is to efficiently and attractively hold and display merchandise. At the same time, they also help to define the areas of the store and encourage traffic flow. Fixtures come in a lot of different sizes, colors, textures, but some are really commonly used. For apparel, retailers typically utilize straight racks, rounders, and four-ways. And the principal fixture for most other merchandise is the gondola. A straight rack is on the left-hand side of this photo, and that's pretty much just a long pipe balanced between supports in the floor, and it's off, or it could be attached to the wall. A rounder, or a bulk or capacity fixture, is a round fixture that sits on a pedestal. It's a little bit smaller than a straight rack, but it's designed to hold a maximum amount of merchandise. Rounders are found in most types of apparel stores. A four-way fixture, or a feature fixture, has two crossbars that sit perpendicularly on a pedestal. This fixture holds a large amount of merchandise and allows the customer to view the entire garment. These are also commonly used with fashion-oriented apparel retailers. And then a gondola is a big island type of self-service counter. It has tiers of shelves, bins, or pegs, and gondolas are super versatile, and they're used extensively in grocery stores and discount stores to display everything from canned foods to baseball gloves. Hush. So some presentation techniques are item-oriented or idea-oriented. They can be, merchandise can be presented based on item and size, based on pricing, color. They can be visual, there can be vertical presentations. So there's lots of different ways that you can present your merchandise. Idea-oriented presentations are typically a method of presentation that's based on a specific idea or image of the store. This approach encourages the customer to make multiple complementary purchases. Item and size presentation involves organizing stock by style or item, and it's probably the most common presentation technique. Arranging items by size is really common, from everything from apparel to nuts and bolts. Color presentation is a really bold merchandising technique, where products in one color hue are displayed together. Price lining involves retailers offering a limited number of predetermined price points or price categories within another classification that are merchandised together. Organizing merchandise in price categories is a strategy that helps customers easily find merchandise at the price they wish to pay. Vertical merchandising involves merchandise being presented vertically using walls and really tall gondolas. Customers can shop as much as they read a newspaper. Customers tend to shop the way they read a newspaper, so from left to right, going down each column, top to bottom. So when you have vertical merchandising, people are going to start on the left, they're going to go top to bottom, move to the right, top to bottom. So that's how you want to stock your merchandise, or that's what you want to keep in mind when you're stocking your merchandise. And then, as the name implies, tonnage merchandising is a display technique in which large quantities of merchandise are displayed together to enhance and reinforce a store's price image. Using this display concept, the merchandise itself is the display. So this is just a graphical representation of idea-oriented presentation of merchandise. And this is what a vertical display would look like. So atmospherics, I love talking about atmospherics, and I love studying atmospherics. Atmospherics refer to the design of an environment that's done by the stimulation of your five senses. So things like lighting, color, music, scent, and even flavors are used to stimulate customers' perceptual and emotional responses and ultimately impact their purchase behavior. So lighting in a store is used to highlight merchandise, sculpt space, and capture a mood or a feeling that enhances the store's image. Lighting can also be used to downplay less attractive features that can't be changed. You can use lighting to highlight your merchandise. It can create a sense of excitement within a store, and it can also set a mood for customers. So typically, U.S. specialty and department stores have used incandescent light sources to promote a warm and cozy feeling. The creative use of color can also enhance a retailer's image and create a mood. Warm colors like red, yellow, and gold are thought to attract customers and gain attention, even though they can be distracting from time to time. In contrast, research has shown that cool colors like white, blue, and green are relaxing and peaceful and calm. So cool colors may be the most effective for retailers that are selling anxiety-causing products, like something that's really expensive. Music can also add to or detract from a retailer's total atmospheric package. Unlike other atmospheric elements, music can be easily changed. Research has shown that the presence of music positively affects a customer's attitude toward the store, and retailers can also use music to impact a customer's behavior. Music can even control the pace of the store, so faster music actually causes people to move faster through the store, and it can also be used to direct customers' attention. Changing the music in different parts of the store can actually help alter a mood or appeal to different marketers or different markets. And then many buying decisions are based on emotion, and smell has a large impact on our emotions. Research has shown that scent in conjunction with music has a positive impact on impulse buying behavior and customer satisfaction. It's a little more difficult to appeal subtly to consumers' taste buds, but the option to grab a bite to eat without leaving the store encourages the customer to linger longer and enjoy their shopping experience more. So Kellogg's Cafe has an exciting environment, but it really appeals to customers' sense of taste. So you might ask yourself just how exciting a store should be. The impact of a store's environment really depends on the customer's shopping goals. The two basic shopping goals are task completion, which are utilitarian, such as buying a new suit for a job interview, and recreation or hedonic tasks, which are more like spending a Saturday heading to the mall with a friend. When customers are shopping to complete a task that they view as pretty unrewarding, they really want to be in a soothing and calming environment. When customers are shopping for fun, they want to be in an exciting and engaging atmosphere. This means that retailers need to consider the typical shopping goals for their customers when designing the store environments. Retailers might vary the nature of their websites for customers depending on their shopping goals. All right, so that's it. Hopefully this whole audio recording thing worked out for us. Hopefully my dogs weren't too distracting. If you guys have any questions, you know where to find me and how to reach me. We've just got one chapter left, chapter 17. It's going to be coming at you this week as well, so stay tuned for that.